Howdy, y'all. Caleb here, and we're talking some priority targets and prime hunters. This was updated, I think it was last week, where GW is kind of attempting to balance some of the meta, I think. And so this is an interesting take on that. We'll see how well it turns out, whether or not they continue to update this as books, come and go, and power creep inevitably happens. What happens to this list? But on first glance, I think it's pretty interesting. Even though we're getting hit a little bit. So quickly recap, if you haven't read this before, some units are labeled as priority targets, and if you kill those priority targets with any unit that's not a priority target, then you get an extra point. Sometimes you get 2 in the case of the Mega Gargants, but it's an extra VP point, victory point, whatever it's called, to go towards your end score. If that priority target unit was reinforced, you score 1 extra point. So that's going to really hurt if you can reinforce something 2 times. You're going to give up 2 extra points there. There are some armies that are prime hunters. Those are usually the weaker armies, and they're getting extra points just blanket wide. If you kill any of these prime targets, you get the extra points. So a pretty interesting way to try to kind of balance out the meta. I don't know that it's going to make a huge impact. It may swing a few games here and there, but I find that a lot of games aren't really decided by 1 or 2 points. Most of them are decided by more than that. My last tournament, I had a couple of close games, but I think most of the time they're decided by more than just 1 or 2 points. A lot of times you'll see basically a blowout. A game goes one way or the other. You're not playing all the way to 5 rounds. You're kind of just talking on the last 2 rounds because it's a clear winner. But let's take a look at some of this. You're looking at Grand Order. I think you see some of the common units here. You got Fulminators, you got Stormdrake Guard, you see, and Vanguard Raptors. You see those a lot in Stormcast. Fulminators and Stormdrake are a lot more in Living Cities. I think is where they're more problematic. But Raptors, I think you'll just see those replaced with Judicators. Judicators, I think, are kind of equal, almost amount of output. And now they're not going to give up extra points when they kill. Raptors are very squishy, so I think you'll see some switches there. Foxes, I'm not sure why the Foxes for Lumineth are in the order list. Has a Fox ever been killed? Definitely not in melee. I guess sometimes you get one shot to death. They are a very annoying unit, but I think I would have rather seen Sentinels for Lumineth on here. We've also got Bloodstalkers for Daughters of Cain on the priority target list. This one kind of hurts because they're always going to be reinforced twice. You're gonna have 15 bow snakes in that unit. Now they're going to give up 3 points when you kill them. If you can do it with the battle line tactic, hey, that's even better. You get another point. With monster, another point. So that's going to hurt for them. Marathi's on here also for Daughters of Cain. I think that's a good one. She's annoying to face because she's in your face turn 1 and you can't kill her for a couple turns. And the thing is, though, she always dies in every game. In just about every game I've ever played with her, she dies at some point in the game. So you're gonna give up that point, but it is only 1 point. So keep that in mind. But I think a good one to be on there. Then we've got ours, Bastiladons and Salamanders. We'll get into those later, but tier. I love the Bastiladons. I don't play with Salamanders as much, but they are, they can be a headache for a lot of people when you're seeing Salamanders teleporting all over the board. For destruction, we've got Maw Crusher, Mega Gargants. A couple of Mega Gargants give an extra 2 points. I think the Maw Crusher, the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher is a good add. That thing is coming like a heat-seeking missile across the board and is going to destroy whatever it touches. It's not quite as tough as it used to be without the Amulet of Destiny. And usually you're going to kill it. It may take a turn or 2 because it can be pretty tough with like Finest Hour and all that kind of stuff on it, all out defense. But it will give up that extra point here. Grand Alliance Chaos. As a Seraphon player, I'm always happy to see Chaos get punched in the face. But this one, they were just like looking squarely at Legion of the First Prince, man. Bellicor, Kairos, Pink Horrors, the Demon Prince. All of that is like in a Demon Prince army, so they're all getting smashed. Usually I like Legion of the First Prince because I don't always win against them. I think I'm pretty sure I've lost to him in the past couple tournaments. But getting that juicy 3 damage from a Bastiladon shooting, woo! But I guess we won't get the extra priority points here. But hey, Death doesn't really have any. I guess no Death army is strong enough. But it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with Night Haunt when Night Haunt gets their new book. If they get off the Prime Hunters and become a Prime Target, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of these Prime Hunter armies I've actually played in recent tournaments. Gits, Bone Splitters, Slanesh, Night Haunt, OBR. I've played all those recently, so they're out there. And this will boost them up a little bit. Let's take a look at the Seraphon specifically. So looking at this, I see the Bastiladon. So this is hitting our Thunder Lizard friends right in the gut. And a Bastiladon is going to give you an extra point. Now, it's already going to give you a point for killing a monster. But I find that in most games, I'm not losing my Bastiladons that often. And if I am, I'm probably already losing the game. And so, if they've busted through my screens, if they've busted through my melee stuff, and now they're hitting my Bastiladons, which are usually played pretty far back, the game's already over. 1 point here for killing a Bastiladon is not going to swing this game. So I don't know how much this one hurts us as much. I think where it hurts us the most is that the Bastiladon is a lot of our damage output. And so I think it hurts by this being on the priority target. We're not going to get those priority target points for killing other things with the Bastiladon. So make sure when you're playing Thunder Lizard and you have a Bastiladon, or you probably have 2 Bastiladons in your list, try to finish off any priority targets with something else. Get your Engine of the Gods in there. Get your Stegodon Chief to do the heavy lifting. Get some skinks to plink something off. If you're down to that 1 wound, don't shoot it with the Bastiladon. Shoot it with something else so that you can get that priority target. Bastiladons was always nice because you could get some good battle tactics with that. By killing something with a monster from range was always very nice. And so I think where the Bastiladon one hurts us the most is not the points we'll be giving up, but the points we're not going to get by killing those priority targets. Salamanders, I think you're going to give up some points with Salamanders because Salamanders are played a little bit more aggressively. Usually when you're playing your Salamanders, you're killing something. You're charging into melee. If you get the double turn, that's great. You're killing something else. But usually they're going to kill those Salamanders at some point. So you are going to give up those points. Now, when you're talking about like reinforcement of Salamanders, especially in like Fangs of Sotek, especially in Skink Heavy List, you're reinforcing those Salamanders because you're needing to buff them up, teleport them, or deep strike them in Dracothian's Tail. And so just think about that extra point you're giving up in the Salamanders. I don't think it's as big a deal with Salamanders as some of the other ones, like Bloodstalkers. That one really hurts there because you're reinforcing them twice. Salamanders, you can only reinforce once. You're only giving up that extra point. But Salamanders, again, you're looking for them to kill those priority targets on the other opponent, and now you're not gonna get an extra point from that. I did try to run some numbers real quick on like what points am I actually going to give up. And in a nightmare scenario, the Bastiladon actually can give up quite a few. Like if you take a Bastiladon and it gets killed, it's going to give up that first point. It's not reinforced, so it's not going to give it that one. But if they took the tactic of bring it down, they're getting another point. If they did it with a monster, they're getting another point. If that's their monster they killed for that turn, they're getting a 4th point. And if you happen to be a Prime Hunter army, congratulations. You just got 5 points for killing a Bastiladon. Now that will swing a game. Now, that perfect combination is only going to happen once, but you can bleed some pretty heavy points if you're getting your Bastiladons killed. Now, these things aren't the easiest thing to kill, especially in Coalesced. 1-up save, -1 damage. They shouldn't be dying that easily. But if you're playing very aggressively or things are not going your way, you are going to give up quite a few points. So keep that in mind, especially if it's a very close game. Keep that Bastiladon properly screened to keep him out of trouble, or keep him buffed up with some extra pluses to save to make sure you keep that Bastiladon alive. The Salamander, single Salamander on its own is only going to give up 1 point. If you're going up against a Prime Hunter army, it'll give up another one. I was worried that the reinforced ones would just bleed points, but to be honest, I think reinforced is still a better idea. If it reinforced and it gets killed, that's 2 points. If it gets killed by a Prime Hunter army, you get 3. But if you took them in singles and they both got killed by a Prime Hunter army, let's say, then you're giving up 4 points for 2 single salamanders getting killed instead of the reinforced 3. So I don't think there's a whole lot of use in splitting them up if you don't need to for some list building reasons or bravery reasons, or you just need to cover more of the board type of thing. I think reinforcing them is still the best idea, especially in Dracothian's Tail, or if you're playing Fangs, where you can really buff them up pretty good. I think reinforced isn't going to be that big of a deal. Now, if you have a couple of units of reinforced salamanders, you're gonna have to be careful because you are gonna get quite a few points out of the way with them. So make sure what you kill or what you attack you can kill, and there isn't a chance to get these things killed in return to bleed points out. Because there's nothing worse than giving your opponent points in your own turn. So try not to do that. But overall, I don't think it's a huge nerf. You are going to see some points in your own games, but overall, I don't think it's a huge nerf to Seraphon. You're going to have to think a little bit about your attack priority, and I think you're going to look at, I need to finish something off without my Bastiladons or Salamanders, which kind of do some of our heavy lifting in this army. Especially in shooting for Bastiladons and Salamanders, both shooting and melee. This may kind of reinforce that you need an Engine of the Gods. You need a Stegodon Chief if you got the points to help finish off those targets so you can get some priority target points. But overall, it's going to be interesting. Let me know how in your games it's been going. I've got a tournament report coming up probably tomorrow where I test it out. I'm going to take 3 Bastiladons and see how they do. See how many priority target points I give up taking 3 Bastiladons. All right, guys. Catch you later.